ngantri. Oh, saya juga yang ngekur, Bu.
Iya loh. Memang kan juga bantu. Maksudnya kamu jadi komunikasi sama yang lain.
Oh, oke.
Masuk aku sih nggak berubah, kalau aku bisa.
Siap.
Saya juga asli all message.
Masuk.
Nanti ini jadi co-host apa co-host jadi bisa bantuin.
Oh iya, sekalian ambilin itu kan. Yang di sini ya?
Iya.
Yang di sini.
Apa Rik?
Sebentar, Bu.
PowerPoint di samping aja.
Kalau PowerPoint di samping. Di situ kan tidak perlu ditampilin. Kamu yang di Zoom kamu nanti
Zoomnya
share
kasih ke
screen.
Chandra. Zoomnya kasih ke Chandra.
Ada charger enggak?
Charger.
Kalau di bawah-bawah
Enggak ada, Bu. Di belakang juga udah full, Bu.
Untuk itu ada tempat nggak?
Udah masuk ya?
Udah. Enggak. Aman nih, Mas, strong kok.
di belakang situ coba. Wah, ini buat mixer. Enggak ada lagi. Full ya?
Full.
The Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, Dr. Hadi Sumarsono, Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, Profesor Imam Muklis, Vice Dean of Administration Affairs, Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, Dr. Titis Sintadewi, Vice Dean of Financial, Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, Dr. Satya Nur Maharani. Speakers of the Studium General, Profesor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Profesor Dr. Tamat Sarmidi from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Hakimi Moh Saifai from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Secretary of Development Economics, Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, Raufah Inayati SPD MPD. Lecturer of Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, and the student of the Department Economics Development Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Negeri Malang. Welcome to guest lecture Inequality in Digital Era, Islamic Perspective versus Conventional, conducted by Department of Development Economics, Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Negeri Malang. This agenda is held as a platform to introduce the freshmen of the Faculty of Economics and Business to the international world through the talk that will be delivered by our speakers. In addition, we also hope that after joining this event, the student will be motivated and inspired to make a greater contribution to their surroundings. Therefore, we highly encourage all the participants here to be active during the discussion and make the most out of it. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, the guest lecture today will be divided into two sessions, opening ceremony and lecture session. In the opening ceremony, we will have several agenda. 1. Singing Indonesian National Anthem and the Anthem of Universitas Negeri Malang. 2. An opening remark by the Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, Faculty of Economics and Business. The 3rd is photo session, and the 4th is prayer recital. After that, we will move on the lecturer session, which consists of first, a lecturer by Professor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, second, a lecturer by Professor Dr. Tamat Sarmidi, and the third, a lecturer by Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Hakimi, and the last is discussion. To mark our first agenda today, I would like to invite all the guests and participants to stand up as we're about to sing the national anthem of Indonesia and continue with the anthem of Universitas Negeri Malang. Please stand up. Okay, to Mrs. Santi Merlinda, please come to in front.
Di sana
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may now return to your seats. Now, to open this guest lecture, I would like to invite the Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Imam Muklis, to give an opening remark. To Professor Imam Muklis, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukurillah. Allahumma sholli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you at your attention to this Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Negeri Malang, to attending the international guest lecture that held by Economic Department of Faculty of Economic and Business, University of Malang. We are so happy in this time because we can invite the expert from Faculty of Business and Management, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Profesor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, Profesor Tamat Sarmidi, and Profesor Madja Dr. Muhammad Hakimi Muhammad Syafi'i. In this opportunity, the international speaker will present about inequality in any perspectives. I think we must focus from this discussion because the topic is very important to your study. We know that inequality is the most important problem in our country. Why? Because the higher inequality, the higher level of poverty. So we must try to create the efforts and program to decrease the inequality and to increase the welfare of our society. So from this discussion, I think we have knowledge how the government can support the activity that facilitate the people to increase the welfare life. Ladies and gentlemen, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Negeri Malang, in this year and next year, we must focus to support the activity in international programs. So please join with the program because the program very good to your future. You must involve in any activity, both in department, in faculty, or in university. We hope from this activity you can give some knowledge so you have priority to solve the problem in our development. Profesor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, Profesor Tamat Sarmidi, and Profesor Madja Muhammad Hakimi, thanks for your attending to stand up in here. I think your expert give us more information about the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, with say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the international guest lecture I open. Thank you and forgive me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for opening the guest lecture, Prof. Imam. Now, we are going to have a photo session. Therefore, I would like to also invite the Secretary of Development Economics, Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Negeri Malang, to Bu Rofa Inayati, come to podium. And then also the lecturer from the Economic Development, Pak Thomas, Bu Wahyu. Thank you. You may return to your seats. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, to end our opening ceremony this morning, we will pray with our respective beliefs. Okay, we can pray start. Pray finish. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the second session of the guest lecturer, which consists of a series of lectures delivered by our guest speakers, Professor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, Professor Dr. Tamat Sarmidi, and Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Hakimi. We are now entering the second session of the guest lecturer, a panel discussion with Professor Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, Professor Dr. Tamat Sarmidi, and Professor Madya Muhammad Hakimi. This session will be led by a lecturer at Department of Development Economics and PhD candidate from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Mrs. Fika Anissa Kurata, SAME, who is in charge as our moderator today. Without further ado, please join me to welcome Mrs. Fika Anissa Kurata. Let us welcome Mrs. Fika Anissa Kurata.
Thank you, Ibu Linda Seprilina, as our Master of Ceremony today, for giving me such a valuable time to conduct the main session in this event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so Today, we proudly present the International Guest Lecture presented by the Economic Development Department in 2023. And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vika Anissa Kurata. I'm the moderator of guest lectures today. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this guest lecture. And today's theme is Inequality in Digital Era, Islamic versus Conventional Perspective. And Alhamdulillah, for our today's event, almost more than 100 attendants joined by online and YouTube streaming, and also in this room. So before we start, I want to welcome Prof. Gofar, Prof. Tamat, and Dr. Hakimi to Universitas Negeri Malang. And it might be several times for Prof. Tamat and Dr. Hakimi to come here, and first time for Prof. Gofar, and I hope you can enjoy your visit during at Malang. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the next few hours, this guest lecture will provide you with plenty of opportunities to discuss and share knowledge and insight. Before we start our schedule today, I would like to inform you some information. In this session, there will be 3 speakers given 30 minutes per speaker to present, and at the end of the session, there will be 15 minutes of question and answer session. And the first speaker is Prof. Abdul Gofar Ismail with a presentation titled Digital Economy, Policy Impacts, Inequality Causes, and Inclusion Strategies. The second speaker is Professor Dr. Tamer Samidi with a presentation titled Measuring Digital Economy. And the third speaker, last but not least, Dr. Muhammad Hakimi with the presentation titled Theoretical and Practical Consideration of Inclusive Islamic Social Finance through Waqf and Court Hasan. So before we start, please let me invite our first speaker, Professor Abdul Gofar Ismail. He is an honorary professor at University Kebangsaan Malaysia. He received both his bachelor and master's degree at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and for his economics doctorate, he received from University of Southampton, UK. A lot of working experience here because he's one of the senior professor at University Kebangsaan Malaysia. So maybe I will sum up most of his working experience. He is a professor of Islamic Financial Economics at School of Economics, University Kebangsaan Malaysia from 2003 to 2013. And then he is also head of research division, Islamic Research and Training Institute, Islamic Development Bank from 2013 to 2017. He also bank supervision advisor of the International Monetary Fund for Djibouti in 2015. He is professor of Islamic Financial Economics of Faculty of Islamic Economics and Finance, University Islam Sultan Syarif Ali from 2017 to 2018. He is adjunct professor at University Saint Islam Malaysia and College University Islam Antarabangsa Selangor. He is also fellow of Yayasan Pembangunan Ekonomi Islam Malaysia. He is also M-Bank Group Resident Fellow, Perdana Leadership Foundation. And he is also a research fellow from Islamic Economic Studies and Thought Center, International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, ISRA, International Research Center of Islamic Economics and Finance, and also Principal Research Fellow for Institute Islam Hadari, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. He also Chairman and Deputy Chairman of Citibank Berhad and Citibank Labuan Berhad. He has many teaching experience to several Islamic economics and finance themes, and such as Islamic economic system, Islamic financial system, money banking, financial economics, advanced microeconomics, Islamic economic system, and Islamic money and capital market. So before the presentation begins, let me inform you how Prof. Abdul Ghaffar Ismail will be invited to the present the material. After that, a second speaker will be Professor Tamas Sarmidi, followed by Dr. Muhammad Hakimi. Now allow me to welcome the first speaker, Professor Abdul Ghaffar Ismail, to deliver his presentation titled Digital Economy, Policy Impacts, Inequality Causes, and Inclusion Strategies. Professor Abdul Ghaffar, time is yours. You may sit or you might use podium. Okay. Sorry. Let me help you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you very much, Ibu. Ibu Vika. Jadi kalau di Malaysia saya panggil ibu hanya ibu saya. Tapi di sini saya ada ibu, banyak ibu. Okay. Menarik tu. Ya, yeah, madam. Ya. Yeah. Thank you very much to UM for inviting me to present in this seminar. If you want to know more about me, you can Google my name and then search in the Google. Okay. One more thing is, I just want to add my CV, one item for my CV. I was the consultant for Indonesia Master Plan for Islamic Economics, KNEKS, Committee National Economy dan Keuangan Syariah. So the establishment of KNEKS was based on the report that we submitted to the Bappenas, Kementerian the Planning and Economic Planning, and also Pembangunan. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk to the my. I cannot see my slide. Anyway, should I stand up here or what? I can stand up here, right? So I can see my slide. Okay. So what I'm going to talk is about the digital economy. The word digital, I learned that in 1991 when my friend did a PhD in electronics, okay? And he did a PhD in physics, specifically in digitalization, okay? Come up with a dashboard. But when I joined the economic faculty, so then I know that about the digital economy. What is digital economy? I'm sure you know that what is the definition of digital economy. I don't want to discuss on that, but I want to discuss on the impact. I want to discuss on the inequality causes and the inclusion strategy. Okay, so the keyword here is digital economy, digital inequality, and also digital inclusion. Three main keywords in this presentation. Okay, next please. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Okay. I'm sure that you are familiar with this hadith, right? The hadith, and then mentioned in Kitab Zuhud of Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, page 253, hadith number 846. Okay. He whose 2 days are equal, we are the loser. Jadi kalau 2 hari ini kita berada dalam situasi yang sama aja, then we are loser. Okay? Can you understand that? So, meaning that today it should be better than yesterday. Okay? Okay, today should be better than yesterday. So therefore, if you look at the digital economy, okay, what is that? We use the latest technology for our economic activity or for our transaction. Economic activity or transaction, that is the definition of digital economy. So how can we use that technology to do what you want to do? Okay? Meaning that you want to do a better thing. Okay? Jadi itu yang kalau we know that Islamic economy, you link that, what is the Islamic economy? So digital economy is part of Islamic economy, okay? So what is the result of that is connectivity among the peoples and organization with the machine. What is the machine? Smartphone or computer become better, and higher economic activity and higher or more transaction and higher economic activities, okay? So what is our reaction? We as economic agent, what is our reaction when we are more connected with more people, with organization or with the machine? What is our reaction, okay? So how business are structured, that is for sure the impact, okay? How firm interact and how consumer obtain services and information, okay? On goods and services, and what are the impacts, okay? So the impact, I will discuss that on the digital inequality and digital inclusion, okay? That is very crucial. And what are the important here is the public policy response on that perspective. Next, please. Okay. Look at the impact of digital transformation. Okay. What is the impact? We have the positive and we have the negative impact. Okay. And we should come up with a policy formulation. Okay. Learning from the previous experience, IR 1.0, IR 2.0, IR 3.0, what can we learn? We learn is we adopt and adapt. We adopt the technology when adapt. Okay? But normally, the country adopt first, and then the population comes next. So the country says we had the policy on digital economy, digital transformation, and then the people use that. Then adapt, okay? And also adopt to improve our worldly life. Your life in this dunya kan, to improve, okay? Which is today better than yesterday. Okay, next, please. Next, please. Okay. But then is lack involved in the new process. Why lack involved? For example, digital banking. When the first digital banking appeared in Indonesia, do you have the license for digital banking, right? So in Malaysia, we introduced digital banking only in 2023, March 2023, meaning that the banking system, okay, the license for digital banking only appeared in March 2023. So the lack factors there. Okay, lagged. Next. And then digitalization also transform people's job. Okay? All paid activity could be automated. Now the question is, does a guru besar need a PA? Perlukah PA untuk mengetik? Kan, guru besar, kan? Perlukah guru besar perlu PA untuk mengetik kerja dia, kan? Atau membuat slide, kan? Okay? So, guru besar should supposed to know that, kan? Okay? Not only do that, but also to link that your slide with the other information, right? Okay? So that, but economic disruption, losing job, uncertainty, because involve the Bitcoin and scammer, so that can fuel social anxiety. So when they affect the social anxiety, so what is the political consequences? And then maybe they start blaming the government. Why you adopt the technology? Because that technology disrupt us. Okay, that is the political consequences from there. Okay, next. Then what are our response? Later, I'm sure Dr. Hakimi will discuss on that. What is the response of that? Okay, policy response on the national economy, on the national policy, national economy. What is the response depending on the economic structure and also preferences, social preferences. Okay, I'm sure that for halal economy hub like Malaysia, like Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates, okay, differ when you want to adopt and adapt the technology. Okay, and also capitalist countries like USA, UK, and also Canada, they adopt that differently from us. Why? Everything is not, you need to, what? To filter, kan? Apa filternya? Haram is haram, halal is halal, and in between, you should avoid that. That is the filter. So when you avoid the technology transformation, so you need to use that filter. Halal economy hub. For a country that practice halal economy hub, with a country that practice capitalist system, so you should have a different way to filter that information or filter the activities, okay, that is based on the digital economy. Okay? And then, sorry, don't too fast. Another one is, we learned that, we learned that from the Hadith Imam Nawawi, 40 to Hadith Imam Nawawi, right? There is Hadith about, what is that? La darar wa la dirar. What is that? What is the meaning? Harm shall be eliminated. So that will be introduced in our school. Maybe next year, that hadith. So we cannot make harm. Harm should be eliminated. What is the example? When you process, let's say we process rubber, kan? Baunya sangat busuk kan rubber tu. So then we should avoid that, the busuk tu kan, supaya it won't harm the society. We allow the industry rubber is halal, but the impact of that industry is not halal, but it harm. Should be avoided or eliminated. Okay, so the policy should look into that perspective as well. Next. So this is one of the example. You can see that the halal that been developed by Deloitte on the how to capitalize on the abundant opportunity in the Islamic economic value chain space. Okay, about the halal food, about the halal travel, the Islamic art and design, Islamic finance, Islamic education. This is the trust. The pillar of this university, Islamic education, right? Okay, and modest fashion. Macam mana nak dikategorikan sebagai modest fashion? Someone told me, kalau nak tahu modest fashion atau tidak, masukkan botol di belakang baju, boleh tak botol tu keluar? Kalau tidak boleh keluar, maksudnya it's not modest fashion. That not considered as halal attire, kan? Okay? Okay. And smart mosque or Islamic media. So all those are the elements yang we need to look the economic structure of the country. If you want to promote the halal, so digital economy should also be used to what? To increase the halal activities and also halal transaction. Okay? Next, please. Education policy, for example, also need to be, okay, to provide, because the coming generation with skill, they need to work in the digital economy. That is the policy response on the education policy. And on the competition policy, again, if you want to apply the la dirar wa la dirar, okay, harm shall be eliminated. Okay. The government must prohibit monopoly group from engaging in action that are harmful to the majority of the society members. Jadi kalau ada elemen monopoli, it should be avoided. Ini adalah elemen of capitalist economy. The policy response, the policy of the government should embed that part. La darar wa la dirar. Okay, next. And then the other policy is This is on the policy of rising three policy, public policy that I want to raise in this presentation. One is competition, one is education, and the third one is a inequality policy. Okay. Inequality because of what? The widening gap in efficiency and market value. Okay. Anything, for example, hiding information. Okay. Anything about ihtikar. Okay. Anything about tanah jus. Okay. Anything about the hoarding that distort the market is considered as unethical activities. Jadi kalau mau belajar ekonomi Islam, should also look at the ethical element. What are the ethical element in the market? Okay. Next. Then we look at digital inequality. Okay. What is actually digital inequality? Okay. We look at the definition there. Disparity in knowledge and ability. Jadi perbezaan antara apa? Ilmu yang dimiliki dan juga keupayaan. Okay. To use digital and also information technology. Okay. Do you have the knowledge about digital banking transaction? Maybe you, yes. But not the people in the rural area, right? Kan orang-orang tua di kampung kan, dia tahu menggunakan digital banking transaction? No. So what happened is digital inequality happen in the economy, right? Okay. What is the level of competency? Your level of competency in Microsoft Word? Dosen, you had the level of competency, advanced level, intermediate or basics? Jadi kalau advance mungkin dia boleh tahu bagaimana mau membuat index. Kan? From Microsoft Word you can do the index. Or from Microsoft Word you can link with your Mendeley. When you want to do the references kan? When to make references, you can link. So meaning that you have a what? Your competency is at advanced level, not at basic. On medium. Okay. So digital banking, this is knowledge and ability. Next. Causes of, what is the causes? Three reasons that causes inequality. One is availability about the digital infrastructure. Okay. We have what? We have the wireless data plan, we have wired broadband, or we have the fiber. And 4G, 5G. Okay, that's one about the availability. So digital inequality because of the availability. Jadi kita tidak ada 5G, kita hanya ada 4G. So when I did my roaming in Brunei, compared to I did my international roaming in Indonesia, much better in Indonesia than in Brunei. So what does it mean? So I have to know digital inequality between Brunei and Indonesia. Okay, I pay 58 ringgit for 1 week, similar in Indonesia or in Brunei, but the speed is different. So because of that, digital inequality, availability, affordability. Because of the expenses, are you afford to pay? I pay every month 80 ringgit for my unlimited plan. How much do you pay? Keep on increasing or keep on decreasing? Okay. And then the next one is the adoption, knowledge hurdle, lack of digital literacy. Okay, and also educational constraint. That is the reason why we are in the digital inequality. Next, please. Okay, what are the important notes there? I want to link with the constitutional economic, because I have not seen that subject in here in UM, constitutional economic. I want to link that with institution again. Why institution economic? Because capability to access and work with data and digital technology should be considered as our human right. It's our right. Because why? We want to do. What is the reason? Because we want to do the transaction. Every day we do the transaction via the digital platform. Okay? Or we want to search our opportunity to get employment. Or we want to have the information to find job, for example. Or we want to get information about the ingredient of this product, is it halal or not? Okay? Is it the product is halal or not? You look into the ingredient. So you are looking for the information. So the information, what else? The opportunity, okay? And also all the daily life depend on the digital platform, meaning that we need to have that for our everyday or our everyday life. So meaning that it is considered as our right, human right. This is our right, okay? Not the right to property, different. Okay, all right. Next, please. So what is the main idea here is some are excluded from the digital world because of what? Some are excluded from the digital world because of that reason, availability. Okay? Hardware innovation. This is a way to improve the accessibility of the internet. Private organization, who are the private organization? Celcom. And who are the finance company is Citibank. Before I left Citibank, we issued 3.5 billion sukuk for Celcom to upgrade their system from 4G to 5G. So meaning that is the relationship between the private organization, PO, and financial institution to issue sukuk to finance the upgrading exercise of that company. And then government effort to solve this infrastructure issue, expand internet connectivity program to household, but not just in public area. In Malaysia, we have the public area. Ini kampung ini ada hotspot dia kan, ada wifi. Tapi not in the house. Kalau rumah tu di jauh, bagaimana? You are not able to get access on the information. And some more, if your house is far away from the power distribution grid.
Router.
So you need to be supported with the solar panel. Okay, that is very important, the ecosystem for your internet. Okay, next. Affordability. I have to mention the Hakimi project. Am I right? The Hakimi. One is the price. The price of internet devices. Of course, the price are declining, but upfront costs remain a major obstacle. Upfront, because you have to pay the deposit dan seumpamanya kan. Okay, what is the role of the private sectors? Okay, computer producers such as Apple. Apple ada di UKM kan? Apple ada di UKM. So you can sell your product, Apple, okay, and then provide subsidy for student. So you need to produce the card, student card, in order to get the subsidies from Apple. Dosen pun boleh beli dengan subsidi. Okay? Walaupun dosen ada wang tapi boleh dapat subsidi untuk beli Apple di UKM depan library itu.
Betul.
Kan?
RM500.
RM500 discount.
Discount.
Okay? Wow. Okay. And then another project, State Islamic Religious Council, also working with the NGO, working with the university, provide free computer under Wakaf Budi. Betul lah Wakaf Budi, Dr. Kimi? Oh, sorry, Hikmat Budi. Our faculty provide this computer freely to the student under Hikmat Budi. Jadi siapa yang nak donate, you can donate to this fund, and then they use that fund to buy the computer and give it to the student. Okay? And then not only that, financial institution, nanti student boleh dapat slide ni you boleh tengok apa yang berlaku Financial institution, you can refer to OUB, Overseas Union Bank, launch a project called the My Digital Space. Kenapa saya mention OUB? Sebab under the digital economy, Citibank don't want to have the retail banking business. So they sell the retail banking business to OUB. So they only concentrate on the corporate clients only. So myself become the customers of OUB. That's why I know that my digital space. Okay, next. Adoption. Okay. You want to adopt, but the problem is lack of knowledge. Okay, lack of knowledge. This is one of the reasons. Okay, so therefore we have not only the lack of knowledge in terms of financial literacy, in terms of cyber literacy or green awareness. Okay, but we also lack of knowledge in digital technology. Okay. And we look at the data there, although ASEAN level, the population, ASEAN population is about 1/3 of the world population, but our digital economy contribute only 7%. And yes, compared to other countries like China, 16%, European, 27%, US, 35%. Okay? So if you want to find a job, for example, in ASEAN region, because the job also create the economic activity, you can go to the Go Digital ASEAN program. Okay, we have that ASEANfoundation.org emerging issue Go Digital ASEAN. So from there you can link with everyone. For example, in the farmer activity, in the agriculture activities, home-based handicraft, producer to small-scale hotel, restaurant, and also shop. That's why I always encourage my students. Don't work in your country. Sorry, this is the one. Don't work in your country, but work in other country. Because of what? Hujan mas di negeri orang, hujan batu di negeri sendiri. Based on my experience. Because in the domestic, in your country, you are always commingling with political issues. Every day you talk about politics, and then sometimes you got fed up, kan? Okay. Some more you want to have the election next year, kan? Okay. Next, please. This is the final slide, I think. Conclusion. So my conclusion is digital literacy, due to digital inequality, is essential to cope with the digital divide. So we are divided. Kan? Because of what? Because of digital inequality. The people in the rural area, they don't have the technology. Okay? So we don't have the knowledge. So we are divided because of the technology. Then as a reminder, can technology save our life? Maybe you follow the story about the Red Indian in US. Okay? The government asked the Red Indian untuk berdoa. Red Indian suruh berdoa, please hindarkan kami daripada kemarau. Dia minta Red Indian berdoa untuk negara Amerika. So dia tak gunakan teknologi pun untuk menyelesaikan masalah kemarau di US. So you baca video tu, nanti dengar video tu. And the second one is chapter Hud, verse 43. The son replied, the son of Noah. Ini adalah anak Nabi Nuh. I will go to the mountain for refugee and it will save me from the water. Noah said, none can save anyone today from the command of Allah except those of whom he may have mercy. So dia fikir bahawa teknologi akan menyelamatkan kita? No. Right? Technology will save us? No. seperti cerita Nabi Nuh. Bukit apa? Arjuna menyelamatkan kita? No. Daripada banjir? No. Allah yang menyelamatkan kita. So finally is you need to link iman with digital economy. Wallahu alam.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Gopher, for giving us the valuable presentation. So the one that we can note here, and it is a very interesting question actually from Prof. Gopher. Is it really technology can save us? It might be you can ask yourself, is it really technology can save us? It might be make our lives is easier, but it is really can save us because due to the fact that many problems arises because of technology itself. Prof. Gopher already told us that in the latest technology, we have for economic and transaction, it transforms people's job. So it will lead to economic disruption and uncertainty. Therefore, how the government can build a policy based on those kind of things. Jadi gimana caranya? Apa memang betul ya teknologi itu akan menyelamatkan hidup kita atau sebetulnya hanya membuat hidup kita lebih mudah? Jadi bagaimana caranya dengan teknologi itu kita bisa lebih berjaya, itu apa ya Bu Linda ya kalau bahasa Indonesia ya? Lebih sukses, iya. Kalau dalam bahasa Malaysia lebih berjaya. Mohon maaf ya, saya kadang lupa bahasa Indonesianya karena banyak bergaul dengan guru-guru hebat ini, jadi saya kadang lupa bahasa Indonesianya. Seperti itu. Oke, so itu yang mungkin nanti jadi suatu refleksi ya teman-teman ya, dan nanti mungkin bisa disampaikan di dalam sesi pertanyaan. Kita bisa berdiskusi lebih lanjut dengan Prof. Gopher. But before we enter the session, I want to welcome the second speaker, Professor Tamat Sarmidi, and he is one of the professor at School of Economics, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and adjunct professor at Economic Development Department, Faculty of Economy and Business, Universitas Negeri Malang. So Prof. Tamat is one of our adjunct professor, and Prof. Tamat get the adjunct professor in 2022. Yeah. And Prof. Tamat also holds PhD from University of Leicester, UK, and his research interest is international economics, and he has written extensively on international finance and capital flows. And Prof. Tamat also published several papers in the Journal of Economic Studies, International Economic Journal, Journal Economy Malaysia, and Journal of the Asia Pacific Economy, among others. Prof. Tamat also been a consultant for several private and government agencies, and he also worked for several research projects on NTMs funded by the Malaysian government. And now, allow me to welcome the second speaker, Prof. Tamat Sarmidi, to deliver his presentation titled Measuring Digital Economy. Prof. Tamat Sarmidi, the time is yours. You may, boleh. You may stand here. Boleh lah, Prof. Sila.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Mbak Ibu Wika. Mbak ke Ibu nih?
Mbak boleh, Prof? Iya. Cik juga boleh.
Kepada para dosen dan juga mahasiswa. Pertamanya saya mengucapkan jutaan terima kasihlah pada semua kerana mengundang saya untuk hadir ke sesi guest lecture ni. So Saya sebenarnya nak cakap bahasa Indonesia.
Boleh Prof, it will be easier for them actually. Lebih mudah lah Prof, lebih senang lah.
Bu Vika sudah lupa bahasa Indonesia.
Sikit saja Prof.
Jadi nanti dia kata Pak Tamat mau seronok-seronok di Indonesia. Jadi sebelum salah faham berlaku, baik saya cakap bahasa yang kita boleh mudah faham untuk mengurangkan language gap, language divide. Prof Ghaffar cerita pasal digital divide, digital gap. So maksudnya kita, kalau saya cakap bahasa Malaysia, tuan-tuan, puan-puan dengar bahasa, faham dengan bahasa Indonesia, nanti dia salah faham. Kerana di Malaysia ni tahun 2022 ialah tahun banci. Jadi nanti mereka fikir orang di Malaysia semuanya banci-banci ni. Banci di Malaysia maksudnya census. Statistik, census. Bukannya survey. Census di sini apa ya?
Census,
ya,
census.
Jadi untuk mengurangkan salah faham ini, maka saya akan bercakap dalam bahasa yang saya pun tak berapa pandai dan tuan-tuan pun saya rasa pun sama macam saya juga, iaitu dalam bahasa asing, iaitu bahasa Inggeris. Is it okay for you? Okay. So since this university, we call it learning university, so we are still learning. Okay, we are learning, in the process of learning. So in terms of language also we try to learn. We try to learn today about English. Okay, thank you very much. I hope within less than 30 minutes, because Prof Ghaffar has taken around 7 minutes of my time. And then I think if I continue 30 minutes or more than that, then Prof Hakimi will say that I'm doing injustice to him because I've taken his time. So the one who sit in between need to sacrifice. Okay, don't worry. So to manage something, for example, in this faculty, you want to manage students. So the first thing is need to measure how many students you have. Okay, because we want to manage. Now, how many number of classes we need? We need to know how many students. So when we talk about digital economy, for me, first and foremost, because I'm coming from statistic part, so we need to measure. Okay, we need to measure. So this measurement is applicable not only to S1, but I think to S3 juga is most relevant. So I'm selling Malaysia now. That's why, in fact, my title is Measuring Digital Economy, Methodology and Contribution to Malaysian Economy. I'm not saying that Malaysia is superior or Indonesia is inferior, but I just want to sell Malaysia because our latest Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, he claimed that he is the best salesman of Malaysia. So hopefully I'm the next person after him. Okay, selling Malaysia. What does it mean? Meaning that I welcome most of you who want to pursue their study in UKM to measuring digital economy in Indonesia. And then we can measure digital economy in terms of international economics, interconnectedness between Malaysia and Indonesia, and the networking and the supply chain around the globe. So that's the purpose of my presentations. So first of all, what is digital economy? Do you understand? Do you understand digital? What do you know about analog? The opposite of digital is analog. Okay?
Yeah.
This is digital. But what is analog?
Using wire?
Huh?
Using wire or...
Using wire? Analog is something that continuous. Digital is 0, 1, 0, 1. Yes or no, yes or no. Digital. Isn't it? So kalau kita kata tinggi, berapa tinggi? Something that continuous is we call it analog. Tapi sekarang ni kita bertukar kepada satu sistem dipanggil digital that accurately we can measure Tamat, my name is Tamat, is analog. But in digital, is 700404105069. That is Tamat Sarmidi. In digital. Betul Prof Ghaffar? Prof Ghaffar apa? Nombor? Huh? 62. Starting from 62. So that is digital. Digital is something that's very accurate. That is not continuous. So we try to transform from something that analog, Tamat Sarmidi, to 700404105369, like that. Do you understand that? That's why United Kingdom, they refuse to have that. Refuse to have that. You can have a driving license, but no identifications. But Indonesia follow, I think, digital. They have KTP.
Yes.
What is your number, Bu Linda?
Do you remember, Belinda, your number?
KTP. There is a number, unique number, unique number.
357. For
Yes.
Malang.
So that's, we call it digital world. Digital. But how big digital in Indonesia and how big digital in Malaysia? So that's, we want to know today. Saya tak ada. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay, the measurement that I want to measure today is based on certain techniques, based on what kinds of product that we have, and then how much of this product in the market. Because we want to measure some things, we need to have some school of thought. So now I'm going to have measurement of digital on basis of, we call it as GDP, gross domestic product, the measurement. We want to measure that. Not in terms of literacy. Prof Ghaffar talked about literacy. I'm not talking about literacy, but in terms of the economic contributions of digital economy. We want to measure that. And then we want to know how to measure that. There are, for example, GDP. We have the accountings of GDP. We have like consumptions techniques. Okay, we have a demand side, and then we are talking about value-added part. How in each of the product, what is the component of digital in it? For example, in this rostrum, how many % digital part in it? We want to measure that. Do you understand? For example, in your shoes, okay, kasut, kan kasut kita ni, berapa komponen digital dalam kita punya kasut? Adakah 100%? Adakah berapa peratus? Percentage. How many % of digital in our shoes? We want to measure. In Indonesia, how many % of digital part in each product? Bagi semua keseluruhan, kita boleh ukur. Cuma Bu Linda dia tak buat kajian tu. Bu Linda dia buat kajian lain. Because she come with his scholarships, so she has to propose her proposal, title. Those who come without any title, any scholarships, we provide them scholarships and we give them title of research. Okay. So we want to measure that the contributions of hardware, software publishing, web publishing, telecommunication services, and specialized and support and services. So specialized and support services, including design, including finance, whether that is digital or not. I'm going to go to detail after that. Next. So the technique that I use is something that is very common and very easy. That is input-output analysis. The only problem with this input-output analysis is that we need to disaggregate of each sector. Okay, MSIC code to certain, like for example, 5 to 6 digit. And then we need to define whether that specific sectors is digital or not. Okay. So, what is the benefit of using this input-output analysis? Next. Okay, it is a holistic perspective because we want to know the connections in supply chain of certain productions. For example, you provide this mineral water, aqua. Okay, then we want to know the digital component. A bit weird and awkward to know that digital component in Aqua, but that's the one we want to measure, the whole economy. Okay, and we want to know the interdependent analysis, because we cannot stand alone. All things are interdependent. That's why we want to measure that. And then we want to know that what are the multiplier effects of this digital sector? Does it is the core or not the main player to incentivize the economy? And then we want to identify the key sector. What kind of sectors that is needed, or what kind of sectors that need digital to grow the economy? That also can be analyzed using this technique. And then last, even though not like restricted to these advantages, but it's easy for policy planning. That's the policy makers, definitely they will know exactly what kinds of sectors, which sector is the best for digital economy. Seterusnya. Okay, this is the process. Maksudnya first data collections. Lepas tu we have to construct this input-output, and then we calculate the multipliers, and then we analyze the results. So these are the techniques. Next. Okay, and then Prof. We are using this, what do you call it, the concept of System of National Accountings untuk 2008, based on United Nations, the compilation of IO table, MIC 2008, Malaysia. Lepas tu kita guna I6 revised versions 4. Okay, and then IO table untuk extension 2018. Kita gunakan extension 2018, meaning that revised 2018. But for today, I'm going to give you 2015 and 2019 punya results. Result of 2015 and 2019's analysis. Next. Okay, these are the data sources coming from those primary data sources and secondary data sources, meaning that it covers almost all departments. For example, in Malaysia, if you want to do on Indonesia also, we can do that, covers all department in Indonesia. Then we know that how many components of digital. Okay, so it is non-survey. The technique that we use is non-survey, it's not consumer based. Okay, it is the departmental base, where meaning that we need to report on certain or industry level. So we want to know on the supply side economy. Next. Okay, so agriculture for Malaysia, on agriculture sector we have 12 sectors, mining and quarrying 4 sectors, manufacturing 69 sectors, construction 4 sectors, services we have 35 sectors. So these are the 120 sectors for Malaysian's economy. Next. So kita akan gunakan data 2015 and 2019 based, and then extensions of annual economic survey for manufacturing sector for disaggregation. We want to disaggregate so that we know that exactly what is the digital part. Okay, data statistics and then digital GDP equations. I think it's not the time to explain to you of these inverse matrix, Leontief inverse matrix, how do we construct that, the diagonal matrix and so on. But we can study further on this, and then we can do some manipulations of it. Next. Okay, so the code that we use, main activity groups, hardware, software publishing, web publishing, telecommunication services, and specialized and support services. So that's the code, okay, based on MSIC code 26, and then 5 and 6, okay, and then this the component of those what do you call it, those component in these sectors. Next. Okay, So ini kalau nanti you share dengan dengan mahasiswa. So kita boleh pecahkan, contoh dalam web. Sebenarnya ada dalam web tu data processing activities, it is digital. Okay, yang bawah ni. Lepas tu web portal is digital. Tapi 63910 news syndicates and news agency activities, which under this category, but it's non-digital. Okay, it's non-digital. And then other information services activities is also non-digital. So if we go for for example, second layer, second digit, HS code, so we mix between digital and non-digital. So our technique, when we go for 5 code, and then we can disaggregate, is more accurate compared to we do some aggregations of which sectors. So we did that for all that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 definitions by United Nations of what is digital, and then we categorize those things in the in our analysis. Next. So using that GDP equation just now, the matrix, okay. So contribution in Malaysia of GDP 2015 is 78 billion ringgit Malaysia. 78 billion. I don't know how many trillion, but that's. And then contribution to GDP is 7%. Digital. And then to annual growth, okay, annual growth. And then in 2019, it's only 7.1%. So how bad Malaysia did this? I'm sure maybe Indonesia is much more, the contribution is much more bigger. Okay, Malaysia does not doing well in this 2015-2019 due to some maybe domestic problem, and then what do you call it, war between US and China too. Okay, but annual growth, compounded annual growth is 5.9% from 2015 to 2019. Okay, and then the contributions in 2019 is 104.5 billion ringgit Malaysia. The compounded growth of billions is 5.9%, but in terms of contribution to GDP is only 0% to 0.1%. Next. Okay, in terms of the component that is in 2015, that is 7% and 7.1% of total contribution GDP, digital economy to GDP, and then the disaggregations of it is hardware. We notice that decreasing 16 to 14%, meaning that Malaysian economy is not producing well of hardware components in terms of growth. Okay, maybe the foreign investors are out of the country, going out of the country. And then even worse, software publishing also decreasing from 2% to 1%. Okay, and then web publishing, specialized and support services too decreasing 22% to 19%. Only in terms of consumer, they are increasing on telecommunications. Heavy investment from maybe giants like TM, that's why increased 60 to 65%. So in terms of economy, it is not that good, okay? Because hardware, software, and web publishing decreasing in Malaysia. So it is alarming for the policymakers, where we notice that digital economy, we move toward digital economy, but in terms of growth, it's not good. Maybe because they got advice from Progafa. They said digital cannot solve the problem. That's why they they don't want to concentrate on this, what do you call it, digital economy. Next. Okay, in terms of key sectors, okay, it is not necessarily one, but just top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 top sectors that has a strong linkages, backward and forward linkages. Di sini belajar input output tak? Ada ya?
Output.
Yes,
Ya, ada.
good. So backward linkages, forward linkages, no need to explain further. So in terms of backward and forward, these are the 10 sectors. Okay, forward linkages, meaning that we supply to that wholesale, retail, other private sectors, amusement, recreational services, civil engineering, restaurant, oil and fat, insurance, residential, semiconductors, non-residential. Okay, and then on backward linkages, wholesale and retail trade and motor vehicles. So semiconductors, bank, professional, electricity and gas, crude oil, special trade works, TV, radio, petroleum, refinery, and then accommodations. These are 10 top backward and forward linkages in the economy. Next. Okay, so as a conclusion, so we find out that evaluating digital contribution through input-output analysis gain valuable insight. I'm not saying that it's accurate, but for policymaker at least they get some insight. We are not doing well. Okay, in terms of growth, we are decreasing for some sectors, especially at that 4 sectors. 3 of them are decreasing trend. So we need to do something, especially on web publishing, hardware and software development, decreasing. So if you want to know about Indonesia, then this analysis can be applied to Indonesia. So evaluation have identified efficiency gaps, cost saving opportunities. It is because of a cost ineffectiveness in Malaysia. So the policymaker needs to further investigate why. Understanding the influence of digital economy on quality control, supply chain, and so on. And then identifying the sectors that are highly influenced, backward linkages and forward linkages. So overall, evaluating digital component through input-output analysis enable businesses to make data-driven decisions. It's not on mere hearsay of gut feeling, but we know that what kind of data that we have, at least we can back up our argument with some data. And then disaggregations of at domestic level can be considered to further evaluations. Okay, for those who did not disaggregate it, we're going to mix between digital and non-digital component. So by having that of this digital component in our economy, then we can navigate the digital economy, whether it is in the good or increasing trend or decreasing trend. So by having, or we can measure that level, 1%, 2%, 3%, then we know that how much money that we spend, okay, on digital part, but how much the contributions to the economy. So if we spend a lot on digital, what do you call it, digital economy, but the contribution to GDP is very minimal, then we know that it is not efficient. So hopefully by that, I think I conclude my lecture so that we can have further discussions on not only Malaysia, but on Indonesian's digital economy performance. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Thamad Sarmidi. This is a very interesting idea, actually. Please, you can. Boleh duduk, Prof. Idenya sangat menarik ya, teman-teman ya. Jadi, in the beginning, Prof. Thamad mentioned about how we can measure digital part of our product. Jadi bisa kepikir nggak sih, bisa kebayang nggak sih? How you can imagine that even in our shoes, Prof. Thamad mentioned several times kasut. Kasut itu di dalam bahasa itu adalah sepatu, alas kaki, ya. Jadi in our shoes itu how many parts of the digital things in our shoes? Berapa banyak? Coba bisa dibayangkan nggak teman-teman? Betapa menariknya idenya ya. Jadi kita bisa tahu, apalagi dengan analisis input output. We have a common analysis for input-output analysis, Prof, here, because we have perencanaan pembangunan or regional economy. So, I think all of them already know about input-output analysis, but they use it on a public sector, mostly on a public sector. Jadi sekarang teman-teman nih ya, atau kawan-kawan ini boleh mencari data nih input-output. Kita punya di BPS, Indonesian Statistic, we have the data of input-output, but I'm not sure if there is a digital, non-digital, I'm not sure of it. But maybe you can try. Teman-teman bisa coba. Itu untuk ide menuliskan undergraduate thesis atau skripsi, ya. Oke. Nanti kalau teman-teman mau diskusi, so after here we have after this session we will have a question and answer discussion, ya. But before that, let me welcome the third speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hakimi. He's a senior lecturer at the Islamic Economic Center of Sustainable and Inclusive Development, Faculty of Economics and Management, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. He also appointed as Assistant Special Officer for Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, former Prime Minister of Malaysia from 2014 to 2019, and also visiting associate professor for Graduate School of Asian and African Area Studies, Kyoto University in 2022. He's also research fellow of Institute Islamic Hadari UKM from 2012 until now, and he also research fellow for Accounting Research Institute, Teknologi Mara, and Kyoto University. He both received bachelor and master degree in Sharia from University of Malaya, and for his doctorate, he lives in Kyoto and received it for Kyoto University from 2019 to 2012. And he made a significant contribution to Islamic economics, Islamic social finance, Islamic philanthropy, Islamic agricultural finance, and Islamic microfinance at the national and international level. Now allow me to welcome our third speaker, Associate Professor Muhammad Hakimi, to deliver his presentation title, Theoretical and Practical Consideration of Inclusive Islamic Social Finance through Waqf and Qard Hasan. Please, Doctor, you may stand there.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning. Terima kasih Vika for your kind introduction. It's too long. Let me to briefly introduce myself as compared to Professor Ghaffar and Professor Tamad. I'm nothing as compared to them. And if you see, briefly, if I want to say about, silakan Pak Dekan. Prof. Welcome Pak Dekan dan Prof Cipto. I met Prof Cipto last year and I met this year Dr. Hadi. So let me set my timer, 27 minutes. So it will allow me to end my presentation. If you see what been said by Professor Ghaffar, you can see about the verse from Quran as well as from the latest input related to digital economy. So he's the dua alam. He can speak related to Sharia, he can speak to related to economy. And if you look at Professor Tamad's presentation, he's a purely economist and statistician about the data. So there's debate in US, in United States of America, in God we believe, in data we trust. So we need to trust data, but there is also debate in Malaysia. The data we are okay in terms of growth, GDP, etc. But people still not happy with the condition. So what it is? We are human, and how living in digital economy we still not satisfied that what we do and what we earn. And therefore, as a human, we need to consider as well in terms of our daily life, in terms of the policy that been done by the government and how we look forward and way forward. And in academia, the roles of academia, docent, karyawan, students, definitely student. Who are you, students? Coming from? Second year, third year?
Semester berapa teman-teman? Tahun
Semester
keberapa?
berapa? Second year?
Second.
Second
Tahun
year.
kedua. Oh, tahun ketiga. Semester 6 berarti ya? Semester 5. Setuju. Oh.
Semester 7.
Old,
So very senior.
Yeah.
Very senior student.
Senior
in
student.
front of me, very senior student. Last week, I'm in Batu Sangka. In front of me is Santri from Pesantren. And we are talking about how we can assist Santri Pesantren in Indonesia. So today, in front of me is senior student, learning economy, management, business, and how we can do things way forward. Based on Professor Ghaffar and Professor Tamat's presentation, and I'm more because if you carefully listen to Vika, Madam Vika, about my background, I'm from the faculty, my S1, S2 coming from Sharia and Economy, and then I got my S3 from Japan, Kyoto University, and my sensei is a Japanese Muslim. So we learn about how, in terms of humanity. Before I start, let me say about the narrative of my presentation, what I want to share with you. It's only 3 things. Okay, it's only 3 things. The first one related to the debate from the modern father of economy. We start our economy from Adam Smith, right? You know Adam Smith? The father of modern economy. 1776, the wealth of nation. It's all about how, through market mechanism, they want to ensure the efficiency of the market, and therefore, finally, eventually, they can distribute wealth. That's the basic idea. Am I right? This is the first narrative. Eh? Let me share with you the 3 narratives that I want to share with you before I go through my slide. If I end with 27 minutes, you can read my slide by yourself. Okay? And as opposed to Adam Smith, there is another father, Karl Marx. You know Karl Marx, right? With the idea of socialism, communism. Now we can regard Indonesia, Malaysia as capitalist state, as compared to China, as compared to Russia before, as compared to Soviet Union. When the collapse of Soviet Union in 1990, 91? Okay, 91, 92, some people. You can Google, we are in the digital things, right? In front of you, santri di pesantren di Batu Sangka last week tak ada handphone, HP, so kita kena Google. So you can Google by yourself. Now, so when the collapse of Soviet Union, we can regard and we can argue that the collapse of the ideology. Do you agree with that? The genius and how President Xi Jinping now, starting from 1995, try to change from the structural in their economy, not so communist, and they try to instill the ideology of capitalists. So now you can see now, before this, we can only have America, Japan, but now America, China, Japan, and now the rest. Indonesia now is in the G20, right? Another 10 years, or maybe less than that, or maybe 20 years, you are moving toward G10, group of 10. Okay? So you can see China through the one belt, one road, if you notice about that. I think in terms of geopolitics in the economy, we have to alert as the economic students. So, based on these 2 arguments, because Karl Marx said, we can only do justice through central mechanism. It only can be done through the government. Impossible through market. Based on these 2 debates, we can learn about distributive justice, right? Okay? We already Ratusan tahun yang lepas kita sudah membincangkan tentang ini. That's the narrative that I believe all of us must alert, and until now we still in the big dilemma, yang kaya makin kaya, yang miskin makin miskin. That's the issue. In terms of the father of, okay, and there you have a neoclassical, blah, 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 etc. This is all related to history of economic thought. Okay, that's the first one that I want to alert us in this hall to share with, related to our team. Apa? Digital inequality. The second thing that I want to share and alert related to SDG. We are talking about SDG now, right? Sustainable Development Goals. Before that, we have MDG. Millennium Development Goals. From 2000 until 2015, there are 8 pillars. From 2015 to 2030, there are 17 pillars. For the first time in United Nations history, they put inequality in pillar number 10. Reduce inequality. Sebelum itu tidak pernah ada di dalam sejarah orang-orang di Amerika yang nak bercakap tentang inequality ini. Because the ideology of capitalism yang efisien itu harus kaya. Okay? Now they realize that rich getting richer, poor getting poorer is really against with the karamah insaniah, human dignity. I learned this word from Professor Ghaffar. Karamah insaniah. Now our Prime Minister did mention about this thing. And Maybank, if you know Maybank, humanizing financial services. So how we can have humanistic elements in our economy? Itu isu dia. Reduce inequality in pillar number 10. According to Professor Yunus, Professor Ghaffar tak suka Professor Yunus ni. Professor Yunus kenal? Professor Yunus is the father of Grameen Bank. Grameen Bank Microfinance, tahulah kan? He's our Bangladesh. He's our good friend. Last month, we invited him and he came for our round table. He against with the ideology of economy in terms of how poor society can learn to get income. In Malaysia, we faced this issue in 1969. Okay, in 1969, 1969, we have riot. We have chaos related to our struggle between Malay and Chinese people. Okay, we have big riot that time, 1969, and riot is RIOT, clash between Malay and Chinese. And therefore, the government identified the issue because of inequality. Chinese people stay in urban. Malay society stay in village. They earn big income. Malay society became, quote unquote, slave to the Chinese as a boss. And then when they won, the Chinese party won the general election in 1969, the Chinese people said, oh, now I'm conquer economy, politics, etc. And therefore, Malay society against them. So there's big riot. Okay, Pak Dengan. Terima kasih. So we have big riot in 1969, and therefore 1970, 71, we have new economic policy. How we can have wealth distribution between our people, among our people in Malaysia. So they put Malay people in Felda. You know Felda? They developed the area to put people with the palm oil plantation, and then they have land to them. So that's the part of our policy to reduce or gap of inequality. Yeah. So through the sync between the government rules and the community-based element, we can see how we do things in Malaysia. Okay. Now, that's the first and the second one. And the third one that I want to share with you, is it possible to have, since my background is Islamic economic studies, is it possible to showcase what do we have in Islam to solve this issue? Either digital or analog, it doesn't matter for me. Okay? We just need to modernize, revitalize the instrument. Because in Islamic economy, the instrument coming from wahyu. Okay? As compared to what been said by Adam Smith and Karl Marx. That's capital, wealth of nation. That's from the thought of the people. As a Muslim, we believe that we have limited, and we have the limited in terms of our thought and how we blend between the human thinking with the divine rules. That's the thing now. As Indonesia and Malaysia, like, according to my sensei, Malaysia, Indonesia ni bukannya internasional. Okay. Kerana Malaysia dan Indonesia sama. Tanya Prof. Ghaffar, tanya Prof. Tamat, kedua-duanya datang berdarah Jawa. Tulen. Okay. Aslinya Jawa. So, how we can showcase with the synergy between the human thought that derive from the divine rules, I mean, Islamic economics instruments, and we can try to cater and to solve, at least to give possible solution to this issue. Only in Islam, okay, I always argue this, only in Islam have the concrete instrument dealing with wealth distribution. Okay? That's why I said to you the narrative between Adam Smith, SDG, etc. I hope you can follow my storyline so that you can get my argument, what I want to share with you. Capitalism based on the market mechanism. Karl Marx said it must be done through the government and still not resolved. And we have another agenda of SDGs and how Islamic instruments can be used to cater this issue. And in my presentation, I would like to it's not introduce. I want to advocate, okay? I want to advocate that inclusive Islamic social finance can be done through Waqaf and Qaradul Hasan. Because there are now critics on Islamic banking, Islamic financial institution. Because people said, oh, Islamic banking, Islamic bank, they also like a commercial institution. They have to gain profit, and therefore they are not, yeah, they do, but still not really enough to cater this issue. Okay. Let me say and highlight about the term of Islamic economics coming from since 1950s. Okay, let's trace back since 1950s. In 1950s, people said, oh, we have to have Sheikh Abu Ala Maududi in Pakistan said, we have to have Islamic economics to against penjajahan, imperialism. Okay? Kalau di Malaysia, British. Kalau di Indonesia, Belanda. Betul? Belanda kan? Okay. The issue, once the Sheikh Abu Ala Maududi said about Islamic economics, in 1950s, scholars in Pakistan, in India, start to write about the contents of Islamic economics. And one of them is this one: zakat, infak, sedekah, wakaf. Okay, you use the term ziswaf, right? In Indonesia, zakat, infak, sedekah, wakaf. And how we can use this instrument, and again, we need to revitalize, we need to reintroduce the instrument with the modern way of thinking. Okay, let's start my presentation. Okay, next. Okay, so my understanding, my keywords of presentation related to social exclusion and well-being, inclusive Islamic social finance, and way forward. Next. Okay. I just want to highlight about social exclusion is all about well-being. That I use as a karomah insania, human dignity. Prof. Ghaffar always said, kalau World Bank itu ultimate aim-nya untuk prosperity. Sepatutnya Islamic ni perlu ke arah human dignity. Okay? So now, let me explain about the social exclusion and will be next. Okay, about the rights, how they participate in the economic growth. Next. Okay, all right. Now, we face the issue either analog or digital. We still have this issue, right? About the vulnerability, poverty, and inequality. It's all about how the impact of our society being excluded in the economy. We have students that doing how social inclusion versus social inclusion, and these are the three things that been discussed, and you can get your PhD if you choose one of them to do your research. Okay? So I believe so many areas that we still lag behind, and so many things that we must further researching about this element. Okay, next. All right, so basically, for me, about the social exclusion, as I said earlier, we have to ensure that as a human, we want to have our life well organized, and the element of well-being in terms of either our well-being, our social well-being, and also about related to important elements of social well-being. People in Kelantan, you know Kelantan, our federal government always said, oh, you are poor people, poor society. But Kelantanis always claim that we are happy compared to people in Kuala Lumpur. So it's nothing to do with income. Even though, because the data said, oh, you are poor because of your income less than, now our benchmark of income is 2,000, right? Before that is 9,000 something. It depends on the regional element. So the well-being is not only related to income and some sort of how many cars you have, but in terms of our happiness, our social interaction, etc. And how we can measure this. That's another element that we need to talk about. All right, next. So this is the thing related to health, prosperity, happiness. Okay, next. Okay, and therefore, you can see here, well-being is related to prosperity and human dignity. This is what I want to blend between prosperity, if we look at from the financial element, and human dignity. We have to blend all these things. Is it possible? Okay, that's another question. Is it possible we can do that? All right, it's very comprehensive and 360 degrees of elements that we have to cater. All right, next. I think we can skip for this one. Economic empowerment. All right, okay. Now, I want to move to my second component of my presentation related to wakaf. Because wakaf as a part is related to economic empowerment, commercial elements, as well as the impact of benefits from the wakaf. Kalau kata yang mudahnya, pokoknya dijaga, buahnya dinikmati. Okay? How to ensure pokok harta wakaf ini boleh dijaga dengan baik agar buahnya boleh dinikmati. And we have to manage this instrument. From the history, we can see it's part of public policy, it's part of charity element in Islam, and it's related to role of government as well as the regulation from the society as well as the government. So this is an element that I want to advocate, okay? I want to advocate this thing, right? So perhaps we can do further investigation for this. All right, next. And for me, again, we need to have civil society or civic economy to ensure the wakaf elements can be done smoothly. Kalau orang tidak dapat menjaga harta-harta wakaf ini dengan baik, tak mungkin kita dapat memastikan buahnya itu dinikmati. We need to have the holistic and comprehensive society to measure this, and we need to cater, for example, the integration of mosque and the market between public and commercial. That's another element. Between private and public, between spiritual and material, between individual and communal. So these are the elements that we have to consider concurrently, secara bersama, secara serentak. Okay, next. And in Malaysia, we do have corporate wakaf. If you learn about corporate wakaf, it's all about how we put the corporate element in wakaf management. That's the basic idea. And we want to promote the idea how wakaf elements can be managed by using the corporate form. All right, next. Now I move towards the Qardul Hasan, because in Islam, the only recognized debt is only Hasan. Ali tak boleh. Okay? Only Hasan. Hasan means baik. Pinjam itu hanya boleh dibuat dengan yang baik, iaitu kalau pinjam 10, pulang 10. Kalau tak dibayar 10, maka itu pahala daripada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. That's the element. Can we do that? Of course we can do that. Kalau tengok dalam praktis di sini, qard plus ujrah ditampur dengan fee kan, management fee. That's another element. That's doable. Syariah compliance. Okay, that's okay for me. But if we can do in terms of the qard, the real qardul hasan, qard is hutang, debt. Because now there are also critics. Even though we are practicing Islamic banks, it's still debt-based financing. Sekarang sudah ada kritikan, Nusantara nak dibina atas duit dari mana? Oh, tak tahu Nusantara. Tak ada Nusantara. Tahu Nusantara? Nusantara nak dibina di Kalimantan ini, nanti dananya dari mana? China, okay. China bagi debt, okay lah. You alert with the scenario. Let's see after 2024. Alright. So, the issue now, people say kita sudah banyak hutang dan negara berhutang ini sudah tinggi dan banyak isu yang timbul kerana banyak hutang. Okay, next. Next, I think this is a practice of good behavior, etc. I just want to show my proposal. Okay, this is the element of, about the background of debt. That's why I said kalau orang tak bayar, maka itu adalah pahala bagi kita. Adakah boleh kita melihat kalau 1 juta mungkin okey, 10 juta mungkin okey lagi. Kalau ratusan juta gimana kan? Okay. 27 minutes dah ada, so I have another 3 minutes to go. Let's go. So now finally, okay, back. All right. So now the key areas how we can have our mechanism to cater the issue of inequality. How the first one related to zakat and wakaf, how we can blend this, that's the first one. The second one, how Islamic banking institution play significant roles to blend with this swap. Because undeniable, we cannot deny the facts that Islamic banking, Islamic finance already doing well in our industry. So how this institution can blend with those things, and finally about the humanity element in terms of the motivation between the receiver and donor and founder. The issue now, we can find out very good donor, but in terms of the behavior of receiver also is really doubtful. They don't have any, we can see the issue. Bila terima, saya selalu dengar kalau last week, diberi bebek, bebek itu dijual. Patut dijaga dan ada economic continuity. Kalau sudah dijual bebek itu, gimana mau dapat hasilnya? So the motivation of receiver also must be considered to cater all these things. Let's go to my final slide. Okay, you can see the practice of Qardul Hasan. Okay, this one. And how we can have this between reservoir itu empangan itu ya. We have the all fund as a reservoir, and if we want to use the immediate fund, we can bukakan pipe itu harus diguna sahaja. Pipe is pipe, right? And how we can have all these things together, we blend together, we put in the policy, we put in our action plan. As academia, we have our significant ideas, significant action that we can do. And finally, okay, as conclusion, it must be done through the creative way of mechanism. Okay, we need to be more creative because we have divine rules. We have to have our brain to think creatively. We need to be proactive. We need to be anticipative. And finally, we have to put it as a systemic or holistic. With that, I end my presentation. Perhaps we can talk further or discuss. Thank you. Back to you, Vika.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kimi, for an interesting presentation. So here, actually, Dr. Kimi's presentation is in line with Prof. Gofa's presentation because, please, it's okay, Prof. Because both of them are talking about how the policy from the government is very important, and how the government can have the justice to take this policy to implement digitalization that can enhance the well-being. So ini masih berkaitan ya, dan nanti juga bisa dihitung caranya nanti polisinya gimana, measurable-nya dengan yang disampaikan oleh Prof. Tamat tadi. Jadi makanya kenapa kita hari ini sangat menarik semua diskusinya ya, seperti itu. One thing, Doctor, that I remember about the corporate wakaf, I found one of the Baitul Mal Atamwil at Surabaya called BMT Muda. They already performed the corporate wakaf. Jadi saya pernah menemukan satu BMT, namanya BMT Muda di Surabaya. Mungkin ini teman-teman kalau ada yang pengen tahu ya, maksudnya pengen melihat corporate wakaf seperti apa. Jadi mereka itu ada suatu program di mana program wakaf itu bisa dipergunakan untuk salah satunya mendanai dana riset menggunakan Qardul Hasan itu tadi. Jadi barangkali ini ada teman-teman yang ekonomi Islam, kayaknya anak-anak ekonomi Islam banyak di sini. Nanti boleh kontak saya untuk tanya-tanya lebih lanjut pada BMT Muda, gitu ya. Oke, Ladies and gentlemen, now to sum up the presentation today, here it is the summary of each for all of the speakers. Yeah, Prof. Gafar mentioned about the digital inequality due to the availability, affordability, and adaptation. And then to overcome this problem, we need the policy from government because as Dr. Hakimi explanation we just did, government has to solve the problem. Therefore, before we think more about digitalization, we have to think about the ethical and karoma insania, which is human dignity. So ethic and human dignity is above all before we perform the digitalization. And it is important to strengthen the well-being using corporate WACOF to fund the business transaction. And how we can know how we can strengthen the well-being? Of course, we need policy. And the policy can be measured by the digitalization that presented by Prof. Tama using input-output analysis to find out what is the backward and forward linkage in the sector, in economic sector. Jadi kita bisa tahu ya, semuanya itu tadi sudah disimpulkan, ya teman-teman. Now everyone, we come to the question and answer session, and I like to have 6 questions from the participants, and you may raise your hands, please. Azan. Oke, wait for a minute. Sebentar ya, masih azan. Kita break sekejap, sebentar. Sorry. Okay, because the Azan prayer, the Salah prayer is already finished. Now we are continuing our session, question and answer session. Boleh bagi kawan-kawan yang mau bertanya, boleh menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Insya Allah beliau-beliau ini faham bahasa Indonesia, tapi nanti akan menjawabnya dengan bahasa Inggris, jadi boleh saya translate. Kalau ada yang mau menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, ya. Tapi kalau mau menggunakan bahasa Inggris, boleh banget. You may use English or bahasa, it's fine. Oke. Sikit boleh ya Prof ya, kalau bahasa ya Prof ya. Nanti boleh saya bantu translate. Bisa ya? Oke. Oke, siapa yang mau? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oke, siapa yang duluan? Ada mic satu lagi enggak? Iya, tadi yang pertama yang Mbak pakai kacamata, yang kedua Mbak baju kuning, yang ketiga Mbak yang, yaudah deh tiga-tiganya belakang itu kasih semua, nggak apa-apa, 4 ya. Oh Bu Linda nanti terakhir mau nanya, oke. Terus Mas yang pakai baju merah, Mas yang pakai baju kotak-kotak sama Mas yang di sana ya, oke. Kejap ya, satu-satu, one by one. Bentar ya. Oke, sudah? Ya. Pertanyaannya untuk siapa nanti disampaikan ya Mbak ya?
Bu izin kalau untuk ketiga profesor yang menjawab boleh?
Boleh.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sebelumnya perkenalkan nama saya Fadila Besya dari Ekonomi Pembangunan Angkatan 2020. Terima kasih untuk para profesor atas pemaparan materinya yang sangat luar biasa. Di sini ketika membahas digital ekonomi, belum lama ini Bank Indonesia meluncurkan KRIS. Membahas digital ekonomi, belum lama ini Bank Indonesia meluncurkan KRIS sebagai sistem pembayaran non tunai. Dan salah satu pengembangan fitur KRIS ini yakni KRIS antar negara. Dan pada tahun 2023, Bank Indonesia dan juga Bank Negara Malaysia meresmikan implementasi interkoneksi pembayaran antara Indonesia dengan Malaysia menggunakan QR Code. Kemudian untuk pertanyaan saya adalah bagaimana pendapat dan juga pandangan para profesor terkait kerjasama ini, khususnya dalam aspek ekonomi dan bagaimana penerapannya di Malaysia. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih. Boleh langsung dijawab kah Bro? Oh tak? Oke, so next question. Ditahan dulu ya Mbak ya, nanti langsung. Oke, next question. KRIS itu digital payment.
Saya special, saya boleh 40 soalan, saya boleh jawab 1 ayat saja. Sebab tu saya tunggu yang lain. Jawapannya saya tak tahu.
Oke, silakan Mbak.
Terima kasih atas waktunya. Sebelumnya perkenalkan nama saya Delia Fernanda dari Ekonomi Pembangunan. Di sini saya ingin bertanya bagaimana tentang sistem wakaf secara digitalisasi. Karena kan sekarang sedang eranya digitalisasi. Sama penerapannya di Malaysia. Kalau sudah.
Oke, tiga sangat baik. Oke, terima kasih. Satu lagi pertanyaan. Habis itu nanti dijawab, gitu ya. Sesi yang pertama. Yang di belakang tadi Mbak. Tiga-tiganya tadi kayaknya di belakang, tapi ambil salah satu dulu. Oke.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, saya Narulita Prasti Dwi Gahayu. Di sini saya mau bertanya kepada Prof. Madya, Dr. Muhammad Hakim. Yang pertama, apa prinsip dan kriteria utama dalam memilih dan mendanai proyek atau inisiatif walau melalui wakaf yang memiliki potensi terbesar untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan kelompok marginal dan rentan dalam masyarakat. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Terima kasih untuk pertanyaannya. Maybe Prof. Gaffa or Dr. Kimi or Prof. Tama want to answer the first question. So it is related to CRIS, digital payment.
Yeah. Okey, apa soalan ketiga tadi yang penilaian ya?
Main characteristic, yeah. So main assessment to get the Waqf fund regarding to the Fardul Hasan for the beneficiaries, what is the main characteristic that they need to have to get the Waqf fund?
Alright, okay. Terima kasih. Saya jawab yang kedua dulu Saya nak jawab yang kedua dulu, wakaf secara digital. Yang paling clear tentang apa yang telah dibuat ialah wakaf based crowdfunding. Okay? Mungkin ini juga boleh merangkumi soalan yang ketiga. Kalau kita boleh blendkan antara wakaf instrumen dengan crowdfunding, tahu crowdfunding ya? Okay? Crowdfunding ini dimulakan di Amerika secara umum to avoid bank. Kerana bank banyak sangat karakteristik penilaian yang perlu dibuat, maka dia pull kepada crowd supaya crowd sama-sama. Misalnya, orang mahu buat usaha bela ayam. Ayam kan? Bela ayam, maka dia perlukan modal, capital. Jadi dia buatkan dia punya mekanisme di dalam platform, digital platform, internet, maka dia akan mintalah, dia akan appraise ataupun mohon daripada crowd, daripada masyarakat. Those who are interested to invest or to donate, dia boleh jadilah commercial platform, charity platform, it depends lah. Jadi terbukti berjaya dan menjadi di Amerika. Jadi kita boleh nampak ada elemen how kita boleh buat due diligence, dia punya penilaian itu berdasarkan apa background yang diberikan di dalam sistem, di dalam platform itu. Okay? Jadi apa kita bikin di Malaysia, kita propose Prof, di World Islamic Economic Forum di Jakarta tahun 2017, kita masukkan elemen wakaf, okay? How we collect wakaf fund to bear the cost bagi wakaf project. Misalnya kita ada projek wakaf untuk boat, fishermen, okay? They need boat to go to sea, okay? Ke lautan. Maka boat itu didanai oleh wakaf fund, cash wakaf. Jadi dia letakkan di dalam platform and people can contribute. Okay. Mungkin menjawab kepada soalan ketiga, how kita buat dia punya penilaian, adakah projek ini viable atau tidak? Okay? Viable atau tidak, doable atau tidak, profitable atau tidak, sustainable or not. It depends on how another party Islamic, ini yang Prof. Gaffa sebut, State Islamic Religious Council play their roles. Meaning that Islamic Religious Council at state level akan monitor, akan evaluate adakah projek ini okey, adakah orangnya okey. Jadi they akan working with association, fishermen association. So they know their members. Alright? So directly or indirectly, that's the way how we use the mechanism. Kalau conventional of doing things, people akan ada diberi borang. Tapi sekarang kalau kita tengok dalam platform, dalam kita punya internet, digital platform, maka orang boleh lihat, perlu di-upload gambarnya. Takut nanti boatnya tak duduk di daratan, tidak turun ke laut. Jadi macam di Aceh lah kan. After tsunami, boat di Aceh itu adalah untuk museum, untuk lawatan pariwisata, bukan untuk komersial. So we need real boat and it will be monitored by Islamic, usually in Malaysia by Islamic Religious Council. Jadi kalau dalam kes Johor Corporation, dia Wakaf An-Nur, dia ada entity yang SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle, or special operator to manage, to monitor, to distribute all the fund that they have for the development purpose. Okay, dia ada special entity yang manage. But generally, usually in Malaysia kita akan guna State Islamic Religious Council, SIRC tadi, untuk membuat penilaian mungkin berkait dengan soalan yang ketiga tadi. Jadi kita ada, you can see the mechanism, right? Community Association, State Islamic Religious Council, potential wakif, muzaki or muzaki, and then we have also the real project by the people, by the community. So that's how we blend things in the digital economy, in digital world. Alright, kurang lebih itu saya punya respon kepada dua soalan yang menyinggung wakaf tadi. Okay. Yang pertama mungkin Prof.
Pertama. Okay. This regarding QR code. Okay. I think there is a few mechanisms that are in place in the market. We are when you want to pay something for the payment mechanism. The traditional one is through the traveler's check, right? That is the evolution, right? Traveler's check, and then we use the credit card, okay, Visa, Amex, or Mastercard, okay. So then another method of payment is through QR code. I think if you would like to explore further, this is good for you to like to assess the one is to look at the evolution of the payment mechanism, one. And also the second one is to look into the public policy related to that mechanism. Okay, that's two. Maybe if you want to explore that further. Okay, if you look at from the second one, the credit card through Visa or through Amex or through Mastercard, so you need to have a bank. I mean the bank of the recipient, I mean the customers in both countries. So meaning that the money will be paid by your bank through credit card, and normally they will deduct that money before they transfer to the merchant. So meaning that the money also goes to US first through the Visa company in US or Mastercard in US, and after that they will transfer that to the merchant in Indonesia. So from you, the money flow to US first, from ringgit to US to Visa company, and then go to your merchant, and the merchant will transfer that money to your bank. How complex are the transactions, right? Okay. So meaning that your money will float first to US, and how anyone is go to US, that benefit the US company, okay, through that Visa or through the Mastercard or Amex, okay. So now we want to reduce the number of transactions, maybe from 5 transactions to only 2 transactions, meaning that you will pay directly to your merchant, okay, transfer through QR code. So it involves only ringgit and rupiah only. Okay, ringgit and rupiah, rather than ringgit to US, US to rupiah. Right. So it reduces the cost of transaction, also not only reduce the cost of transaction, but also reduce the cost of for you, because normally when you pay to your merchant, meaning your money has been deducted from your account, so it goes to the credit card or Mastercard account. Okay, so that money goes to that person first before it goes to you. So it reduces the transaction. One is maybe by having this QR code, maybe the impact, maybe the Prof. Tamat can explain further on what is the impact on the exchange rate. Okay, exchange rate, because that reduces the number of transactions. So now you are not dealing with the US, but you are dealing with the rupiah. And then the times that will be taken will be less. Okay. Of course, we will support this public policy because it reduces the money. I have to keep my rupiah, for example, for how many days? For 5 days, let's say. For example, if I want to pay my transaction, let's say tomorrow, so I have to keep. Whereas if I keep my money in the bank, so I can keep my money in the bank, then can get return, right? Qadul Hasan, for example, I get the return from that for 5 days. Rather than I keep it idle in my pocket, so I keep that money in my bank. So then I can directly pay to the merchant here if I want to pay for my transaction. So that is, for me, is the beauty of the QR code that can help our transaction faster and also manage our money flow in the economy better, and then also reduce the cost of the transaction. Okay, I believe that can improve further the trade between Malaysia and also Indonesia.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions given by our students about the implementations of agreement between Bank Indonesia and Bank Negara Malaysia on the KRIS. Okay, in reality, when, for example, for example, I got my my son study in Indonesia. I transfer Malaysian ringgit to Indonesian rupiah. But in fact, the money does not transfer from Malaysia to Indonesia. Similarly, from Indonesia to Malaysia. What money changers did is, we transfer our money to our money changer in Malaysia, and then the agents in Indonesia, they transfer the money to rupiah in Indonesia. So in practice, this thing does not happen. The money does not, they does not move from one country to another country. That is the practices. So it cut, as Prof. Ghaffar mentioned that, it cut off the transactions. For example, it need 5 transactions, it cut, become only 2 or 3 transactions. So that's why when we go to money changer, we can get a better price of money of the exchange. So maybe these things is a good business because it's not regulated by the there is a BS, international BS, in international money laundering and money transactions. So, and then it cut costs. So I think the percentage of using this KRIS is very low. Even though it's an agreement between the two, two countries, but in practice, okay, the practice is very low between these two countries.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Ghaffar. Prof. Tama.
Very short one. Again, this is very not that simple in that way. In one way, it's not that simple. If you want to apply for QR code, because you are subjected to AMLA, Anti-Money Laundering Act. Okay, and due diligence process need to be done or need to be sorted out because of the bank need to identify who are you, who are the merchant, whether they are doing the illicit money or illegal money, they need to identify that. Okay, so due diligence process need to be done by the bank for the respective country. For that merchant, bank owned by, where the merchant own the account in the bank, so bank need to do the due diligence process on that merchant, and then the same also goes to the company in Malaysia or individual in Malaysia, the account holder, they need to do the due diligence process, because this is to avoid any illegal money or illicit money for that may distort the market or may disrupt the market. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much for the answer for all of the speakers. Paham ya? Paham nggak? Paham kah? Paham ya? Jadi di sini tadi yang mungkin untuk menjawab 3 pertanyaan, maaf, pertanyaan yang kedua dan ketiga, tadi ada pertanyaan tentang implementasi wakaf ya. Jadi ada sektor crowdfunding yang sekarang itu dikembangkan, wakaf crowdfunding. Kita punya seperti crowdfunding yang paling tinggi di Indonesia itu dia ada Amarta Land X, ini saya googling ya, Amarta Land X itu dia paling tinggi, tapi memang dia masih belum berafiliasi dengan wakaf. Masih belum, kalau di Indonesia masih belum berafiliasi dengan wakaf. Walaupun nantinya saya ada suatu studi kasus ya, yang tadi saya sudah ceritakan itu yang kayak di BMT Muda, memang dia perhimpunannya itu melalui wakaf, tetapi dia disalurkan boleh untuk pertanian, boleh untuk perikanan, boleh untuk pendidikan, researcher. Jadi untuk researcher itu bagi teman-teman yang yang dapat hibah penelitian tapi uangnya belum turun, boleh pinjam mereka dulu. Nanti setelah uangnya turun dikembalikan. Nah, tapi untuk assessmentnya, untuk penilaian bagaimana kelayakan dari orang yang meminjam, itu tiap-tiap organisasi, for each organization they have the standard. Mereka punya standar masing-masing. Seperti itu, ya. Itu untuk pertanyaan yang kedua dan yang ketiga. Terus untuk yang pertanyaan yang pertama itu karena di sini sebenarnya kita tahu bahwa bank itu dia adalah memiliki fungsi intermediasi atau di tengah-tengah ya dia ya antara pemilik dana dan yang memerlukan dana, ya. Maka kenapa kita ada kris itu? Sebenarnya untuk mempermudah dan mempermurah transaksi. Jadi bisa di cut off, bisa diperpendek. Kita selama ini punya Visa, Mastercard, Amex ya. Itu uang ternyata kita kalau mau bayar sesuatu harus ke Amerika dulu karena mereka basisnya di Amerika. Akan di hold dulu uangnya, ditahan. Lepas tuh setelah ditahan ya. Uang itu akan ditransferkan kepada merchant dan oleh merchant ditransferkan ke bank. Itu kan panjang. Semakin panjang supply chain-nya, semakin panjang prosesnya otomatis biaya yang dikeluarkan akan semakin tinggi. Nah, how to reduce the transaction cost? Bagaimana untuk memperpendek cost of transaction tadi? Kita punya kris. Tapi as long as I know, sejauh ini yang saya ketahui, kita pakai kris itu di Malaysia nggak boleh, nggak bisa. Jadi nggak bisa ya, bayar pakai BCA di Malaysia nggak bisa. Kalian punya Genius, boleh kalian bawa kemana-mana kartu itu. Tapi when it becomes to kris, itu nggak boleh. Sana mereka tak menerima, mereka nggak menerima dari barcode-nya itu. Ya, jadi di sana mereka juga punya macam kris itu mereka punya dan mereka tak menerima itu. They don't accept it. Tapi kalau guna kartu boleh. Ya, kalau pakai kartu bisa. Ya, tapi kalau nggak pakai kartu nggak bisa. Ada juga apps, tapi saya lupa nama aplikasi itu. Dia boleh untuk transfer uang dari rupiah ke Swiss franc, ringgit. Dia third party application. Jadi saya ada Prof, tapi saya pun lupa namanya. Nanti saya tanya lah pada kawan saya. Itu ada apps, tapi dia berbentuk apps. Dia bukan QR. Dia apps, itu boleh dia transaksi langsung kita direct transfer at the time, iya real time. Tapi kena biaya sedikit lah, ada biaya sedikit ya, seperti itu ya. Oke, mungkin 3 pertanyaan lagi kayaknya ya, karena untuk mempersingkat waktu. Oke, 1, 2, 3, yang cowok-cowok ya, tadi cewek-cewek. Cowok, laki-laki, ya, boys, girls.
Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatan yang telah diberikan. Sebelumnya, terima kasih atas pemaparan dari ketiga profesor tentang materi yang sangat luar biasa dan sangat insightful bagi kita semua. Pertanyaan saya ditujukan untuk pemateri profesor yang pertama. Banyak penelitian dan juga jurnal yang membahas bahwa ekonomi digital dapat mendukung pemerataan pendapatan atau redistribution income. Namun dari penjelasan yang Profesor sampaikan dan juga ada juga beberapa jurnal dan juga penelitian itu yang membahas bahwa ekonomi digital juga memiliki dampak buruk. Pertanyaan saya, apakah ada alat atau tools untuk mengendalikan dari dampak negatif adanya ekonomi digital itu selain dari government policy atau dari kebijakan pemerintah? Mungkin dari akademisi, dari masyarakat, atau dari pelaku ekonomi atau industri. Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih. Thank you for the question. For the next question, we limit the question until 3 questions.